There is a small organ buried deep within your brain that ancient civilizations believed was the gateway to the divine. Modern science calls it the pineal gland, a tiny pine cone-shaped structure, no larger than a grain of rice. But the ancients called it something else entirely, the seat of the soul. For thousands of years, mystics, philosophers, and spiritual initiates have spoken of a hidden eye, an inner sight capable of perceiving realms beyond the physical. It is said that when this eye awakens, the illusion of separation dissolves, and one sees the universe as it truly is. But here's the part no one told you. This mysterious gland is not just a symbol, it's real. It exists in your body right now, pulsing with electrical activity, producing powerful biochemicals that influence how you dream, how you perceive time, and even how you experience consciousness itself. Yet somehow, despite its obvious importance, the pineal gland remains one of the least understood and most ignored parts of human anatomy. Why? Why does this tiny organ, once revered as sacred, now sit in obscurity, dismissed as mere biology? Why did ancient cultures, from Egypt to India to Greece, depict it as a divine symbol of enlightenment? And perhaps most importantly, what happens when it truly awakens? Because awakening the pineal gland is not just about activating a part of your brain. It's about remembering who and what you really are. In this video, we're going to uncover the hidden truth behind this enigmatic gland. We'll explore its ancient history and why civilizations across the world saw it as a key to higher dimensions of reality. We'll decode its esoteric and physiological functions, how it bridges the gap between the physical and the spiritual. And finally, we'll reveal how you can begin the process of awakening it within yourself. So sit back, take a breath, and prepare to see with the eye that has been hidden from you since birth. Because what you're about to discover about the pineal gland may forever change the way you see reality itself. To understand the mystery of the pineal gland, we must step beyond the sterile walls of modern science and into the luminous temples of the ancient world, where this small organ was seen not as a piece of biology, but as a bridge to eternity. In the heart of ancient Egypt, the pineal gland was symbolized by the eye of Horus, the all-seeing eye that represented divine perception, healing, and protection. What few realize is that when viewed in cross-section, the eye of Horus perfectly mirrors the anatomy of the human brain, with the pineal gland positioned exactly where the pupil would be. To the Egyptians, this was no coincidence. They believed the pineal was the eye of Ra, the sun within the human body, a spiritual organ capable of perceiving truth beyond the material world. Through rituals, chants, and sacred geometry, initiates of the temples sought to awaken this inner sun and achieve direct communion with the gods. Far to the east, the Vedic sages of India described the same concept in the language of energy. They called it the Ajna chakra, or the third eye located between the eyebrows, the seat of intuition, insight, and higher consciousness. Yogic traditions taught that when this energy center was activated through meditation, breath control, and devotion, it opened a gateway to inner vision, a perception unbound by time or space. Meanwhile, in ancient Greece, the philosopher Plato wrote that the pineal gland was the seat of the soul. He believed it was the point where the divine essence of the human being, the immortal spirit, connected to the mortal body. Centuries later, René Descartes echoed this belief, calling the pineal gland the principal seat of the soul and the place where all our thoughts are formed. Even the Taoists of ancient China spoke of it, referring to the crystal palace within the brain, a sacred region formed by the pineal, pituitary, and thalamus glands. They taught that when one enters deep meditative states, energy called qi rises from the base of the spine and illuminates this inner palace with golden light, leading to spiritual immortality. Across continents and centuries, civilizations that never met somehow agreed on the same thing. Hidden within the human brain lies a portal, a biological key to higher consciousness, divine connection, and enlightenment. But something happened. As humanity turned its gaze outward, toward conquest, technology, and the material world, this inner vision began to fade. The pineal gland, once honored as sacred, was reduced to a footnote in anatomy books. And yet, traces of the ancient knowledge remain. The pine cone, the very shape of the pineal gland, still appears in sacred art across cultures. You can find it in the staff of Osiris, in the Babylonian temples, in the Vatican's courtyard of the pine cone, and even in the rod of Dionysus, the Greek god of ecstasy and rebirth. These symbols are not decorations, they are reminders, whispers from the past, urging us to awaken what was once known, that the pineal gland is not simply part of the body, it is the gateway between worlds. And so, as the ancients saw it, enlightenment was never something to be found, it was something to be activated. Imagine for a moment that inside your brain lies a hidden lantern, small, silent, and ancient, waiting for a spark. This lantern is your pineal gland, a tiny pine cone-shaped organ nestled deep between the hemispheres of your brain. It has no direct connection to the outer senses. It sees no light, hears no sound. Yet it knows. Modern science describes the pineal gland as a neuroendocrine organ, responsible for secreting melatonin, a hormone that regulates sleep cycles. But this explanation, while true, barely scratches the surface. The ancients weren't mistaken or primitive. They were seeing the same organ through the lens of consciousness rather than chemistry. To them, the pineal gland was a receiver, an antenna between the physical and spiritual realms. In the same way a radio translates invisible waves into sound, the pineal was said to translate higher frequencies of reality into perception. The biological bridge between worlds. The pineal gland is unique among all parts of the brain. It is filled with photoreceptor cells, the same type found in the retina of the eyes. That means your pineal gland is literally capable of detecting light, even in the total darkness of your skull. In many mystical traditions, this was seen as proof that the pineal was an inner eye, perceiving a kind of spiritual light, the light of the soul. Even more fascinating, the gland contains microscopic crystals of calcite, tiny geometric structures that can vibrate with electromagnetic frequencies. Modern research suggests these crystals might even be piezoelectric, meaning they generate electrical energy when under pressure. So, could it be that when the mind enters deep meditation or altered states of consciousness, these crystals vibrate in harmony with universal frequencies, activating the pineal gland and opening a gateway of perception? This is where ancient mysticism and modern science begin to merge. The inner sun. Every night, as darkness falls, the pineal gland releases melatonin, signaling the body to rest. But in deep spiritual symbolism, this process represented something far more profound: the death of the outer light and the awakening of the inner one. In ancient initiation rituals, darkness was sacred. Adepts would spend days or weeks in total darkness, depriving the senses until the mind turned inward. When the body ceased to rely on physical light, the pineal gland began to secrete not just melatonin, but other mysterious compounds. Among them, some believe DMT, a molecule known for producing vivid, multidimensional visions. Is it possible that what mystics called visions of the divine were in fact states of consciousness unlocked by the full activation of this gland? This idea, that we are wired for transcendence, is echoed in nearly every spiritual tradition. The pineal gland is the eye of wisdom, the lamp of the body, the third eye, the ajna, the eye of Horus, all describing the same mechanism, the awakening of inner vision, the prison of perception. But there's a darker side to this story. Modern life, it seems, does everything possible to suppress this sacred organ. Artificial light disrupts melatonin cycles. Fluoride, heavy metals, and toxins calcify the gland, dulling its function. Constant distraction, overstimulation, and digital overload prevent the mind from ever entering the stillness required for activation. In this way, humanity's natural spiritual antenna has been silenced, not by conspiracy, but by conditioning. We have traded our inner sight for artificial light, and yet, even now, the ancient pathways remain within us. The pineal gland is dormant, not dead, waiting, as it always has, for the seeker who dares to look inward. When you meditate, when you silence the mind, when you breathe deeply and let go of thought, something extraordinary begins to happen. The inner currents of energy rise, the frequencies shift, and the gland begins to vibrate. Those who have experienced it describe a pulsing at the center of the forehead, a gentle glow behind closed eyes, a sensation of being lifted beyond the boundaries of the body. What follows is not imagination, but revelation, an awareness that everything is light, everything is connected, and consciousness is the source of all that exists. This, the ancients would say, is the first awakening, but it is only the beginning, because beyond the awakening of the pineal gland lies the mastery of it, the ability to navigate between worlds, to see through illusion, and to shape reality itself. That is the secret that the mystery schools guarded for centuries. Once the pineal gland begins to awaken, something extraordinary unfolds within the human being, a remembrance of cosmic origin. It's as if a veil begins to lift, revealing that consciousness itself is not trapped within the body, but rather, the body exists within consciousness. The ancients described this revelation not as enlightenment, but as illumination, a literal activation of the inner light. They believed that the pineal gland was the bridge between man and the divine, the point through which the soul communicates with the higher planes of existence. But over time, this knowledge was hidden, distorted, and in some cases, deliberately suppressed. The pineal and the stars. In esoteric traditions, the pineal gland was never seen in isolation. It was always connected to the cosmos. The ancient Egyptians, for example, aligned their temples not randomly, but precisely to mirror the constellations. The Great Pyramid itself is believed to correspond with the Belt of Orion, a reflection of heaven upon earth. Within this cosmic mirror, the pineal gland symbolized the star within, a microcosmic reflection of the macrocosm. Just as the stars emit light to illuminate the night sky, the awakened pineal emits its own inner radiance, an awareness that pierces the illusion of materiality. In Vedic philosophy, the Ajna chakra, associated with the third eye, is depicted as a lotus with two petals, representing the duality of existence, light and dark, seen and unseen, matter and spirit. When this center is fully opened, duality dissolves, and one perceives unity, the divine fabric that connects all things. The idea was simple yet profound. As above, so below. When you awaken your inner eye, you attune to the cosmic order, the divine pattern that sustains reality, the hidden mechanism of reality. Modern mystics often speak of vibration, frequency, and energy. These are not mere metaphors. The pineal gland, as science now confirms, is electromagnetically active. It responds to frequencies and, in turn, emits its own. Ancient adepts understood this long before machines could measure it. They practiced vibrational alignment through chant, breathwork, and geometric visualization, each technique designed to stimulate the gland and synchronize it with higher states of consciousness. Sound, especially sacred sound, was one of the primary tools. The resonance of OM, for instance, was believed to activate the pineal by harmonizing the human frequency with that of the universe. In Egyptian temples, initiates used low-frequency chants that caused the skull to vibrate, stimulating the gland and inducing altered states. This is why the pineal gland has often been called the gateway or portal, not to another place, but to another state of being. When activated, it's said to project consciousness beyond the physical body into subtler planes, dreams, astral realms, and even collective archetypal realities. This is the domain where time folds, intuition sharpens, and insight flows like light through crystal. And it is here that destiny, the true path of the soul, can be glimpsed. The myths and misconceptions. In modern spiritual circles, The pineal gland has become the subject of countless myths, some rooted in truth, others in distortion. Many believe that it must be decalcified through extreme fasting or elaborate rituals. But the ancients taught something far simpler. Purity of consciousness is the key. When thoughts are chaotic, the pineal signal is noisy and weak. When thoughts are clear and directed, its energy flows like a laser. The true cleansing of the pineal is not physical. It is mental and emotional. Silence, focus, devotion, and truthfulness all purify the currents that reach the gland. In this sense, morality and spiritual discipline were never about dogma. They were technologies of consciousness. Another misconception is that awakening the pineal gland guarantees enlightenment. It does not. It opens the door, but it does not walk you through. The awakened eye can see both light and shadow, and what one perceives depends on their state of heart. This is why ancient texts often warned, "Guard the eye within, lest it become darkened." For the same power that can liberate can also deceive if misused. The geometry of awakening. In sacred geometry, the pineal gland corresponds to the sphere, the perfect shape representing unity, infinity, and divine wholeness. Within the sphere lies the seed of every other form, the cube, the pyramid, the spiral, all emerging from its balance. This was no coincidence. The ancients used geometric meditation to attune their minds to the patterns of creation itself. When you visualize a sphere of golden light expanding from your third eye, you are not imagining. You are remembering. You are recreating, within yourself, the original geometry of consciousness. To activate the pineal gland is to awaken the divine architect within, the part of you that shapes destiny, bends time, and perceives the hidden order beneath chaos. This is the true meaning of the eye that sees all. It is not about clairvoyance or seeing spirits. It's about perceiving reality as it is, unfiltered and infinite. And once that sight is restored, life is never the same. The awakening of the pineal gland has long been considered one of the highest initiations on the spiritual path, something once reserved for mystics, adepts, and initiates within ancient temples. But the truth is, the doorway to higher perception is not locked. It simply requires presence, discipline, and a return to the natural rhythms of consciousness. Here are the first steps, time-honored techniques drawn from both ancient traditions and modern insight that can safely begin to awaken the eye of light within you. 1. The breath of stillness. The breath is the bridge between the visible and invisible realms. When you breathe unconsciously, your awareness remains bound to the body. But when you breathe consciously, something shifts. The rhythm of the mind begins to mirror the rhythm of spirit. Find a quiet place. Sit upright, spine straight. Close your eyes and bring your awareness to the space between your eyebrows, the seat of the third eye. Now inhale deeply through the nose for a count of 7, imagining light entering through your forehead. Hold for a count of 7, allowing that light to expand through the skull, illuminating the pineal gland at the center of your head. Exhale through the mouth for a count of 7, releasing tension and static energy. Repeat this for 7 cycles, then fall into natural breathing. Within minutes, you may begin to feel a subtle pulsing, warmth, or vibration in the center of your head. This is not imagination. It's the awakening of the gland's electromagnetic resonance. Perform this practice daily, ideally before sunrise or just before sleep, when the veil between worlds is thin. 2. The sound of activation. Every sacred culture on Earth used vibration to awaken the inner centers of consciousness. Sound is not mere noise. It is geometry in motion. The pineal gland responds particularly to low, humming frequencies. Chanting the syllable Om, slowly, deeply, and with full awareness, creates a vibrational current that resonates through the skull. As you chant, feel the vibration not in your throat, but in your head. Let it vibrate the bones. With each repetition, visualize ripples of golden light radiating outward from the pineal gland, expanding through your aura like concentric waves. Do this for 5 minutes daily. Over time, you'll notice your dreams becoming clearer, your intuition stronger, and your mind more still. 3. The sacred geometry visualization. Close your eyes and imagine a sphere of radiant golden light at the center of your brain. This sphere represents the divine seed of perception, the lens of the soul. Now visualize this sphere slowly expanding outward, touching your forehead, the crown of your head, and the back of your skull, forming a halo of luminous light. Within this sphere, imagine sacred geometry unfolding. Spirals, triangles, and fractal forms, each pulsing gently with life. This meditation aligns your mind with the architecture of consciousness itself. It trains the pineal gland to perceive beyond form, to sense energy, unity, and divine order. 4. The purification of mind and body. True activation cannot occur if the vessel, the body and mind, is clouded. The pineal gland is sensitive not only to physical toxins, but to emotional and mental ones as well. Avoid excessive fluoride, alcohol, and processed food. They dull the gland's sensitivity. Spend time in sunlight. The pineal responds to natural light cycles. Most importantly, observe your thoughts. Each thought carries a frequency. Fear constricts, love expands. As your emotional field becomes purified, the gland begins to hum at a higher octave. That hum is consciousness harmonizing with creation. 5. The art of inner silence. The final and most essential step is silence. Beyond breath, beyond sound, beyond visualization lies stillness, the pure awareness from which all things arise. Sit each day in silence. No goal, no expectation. Simply observe. The mind will resist, but with practice it becomes transparent. And in that transparency something remarkable happens. You begin to see without eyes. This is the pineal awakening, the restoration of the original sight. Remember, the third eye does not open through force, but through resonance. It unfolds like a lotus, naturally, gently, when nourished by attention, clarity, and love. So breathe, chant, visualize, be still. And soon you will begin to feel what the ancients described not as an awakening, but as a return. The return to inner light, the return to divine vision, the return to yourself. The story of the pineal gland is not just about biology, it's about destiny. Hidden within that tiny, glimmering crystal at the center of your brain lies the ancient technology of the soul, a key that unlocks dimensions of perception that humanity has long forgotten. The ancients did not worship this gland. They revered what it represented, the light of divine consciousness made flesh. They knew that when the third eye opened, the illusion of separation dissolved, and man remembered that he was not merely a body wandering through space, but a living fragment of infinity, dreaming itself into matter. Today, science measures the pineal in millimeters and chemicals, melatonin, serotonin, DMT. But the mystics measured it in light. They saw it as the throne of the spirit, the window through which the soul looks out, and, when awakened, the window through which it finally looks back in. Every act of awareness, every moment of silence, every conscious breath brings you closer to that remembrance. And when you begin to see not with the eyes but through them, then life itself transforms. The mundane becomes sacred. The ordinary reveals its divine architecture. Because awakening the pineal gland is not about escaping the world. It's about seeing it as it truly is. The patterns, the synchronicities, the silent intelligence behind every event, they are not coincidences. They are the language of the awakened universe speaking directly to you. And perhaps that is the great secret no one told you about the pineal gland. It was never meant to be a mystery to find, but a power to remember. It's not a door that opens outward into other realms. It's a door that opens inward, into the infinite light within yourself. So the next time you close your eyes and feel that subtle pulse of energy between your brows, remember, You are not just meditating. You are returning to your origin. You are reactivating the oldest temple on earth, the temple within your own mind. And once that light awakens, it never truly fades again. Because the true vision of the awakened eye is to see the divine everywhere you look.